us tonight. Thank you for spending time with us wherever you are. Maybe it's morning where you are, if you're in the Americas, nighttime if you're in the Eastern Hemisphere. So, I wanted to talk about something that was brought to my attention this week, as you can tell from the title of the video. First of all, this week we had a meeting with our YouTube partner manager. And if you don't know what a YouTube partner manager, basically their job is to talk to creators. You have to be above a certain level to get one, like a certain amount of watch time. I'm not exactly sure what the criteria is. Most people don't have them. You have to have a channel of a certain size, basically, to get one. But then you get what's called a what are they called? Partner manager. You get a partner manager, and their job is to talk to you, tell you what's coming out on YouTube, how to better manage your channel, give you some advice of what they think could be helpful for you, see if you're having any problems. Now, I don't really know exactly what all they can do. It seems some partner managers have more pull at YouTube than others, but basically their job is to advise you. So we had a meeting with our partner manager, which I don't know if maybe some of you heard the previous story. We had one that manages YouTubers in the Philippines. I ended up getting it changed because we didn't quite get along so well. I think she didn't like me maybe, but we had our differences. So I requested to have a partner manager from the United States, someone working in the United States. So they transferred me, and we got one. And when we started our meeting this week, she said, "Boy, it's been a tough time for you on YouTube, huh?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She said, "Oh, I see that your channel was suspended in the past week." I don't know if you've heard about a lot of the news about all the crazy stuff that's been going on YouTube, all the controversies. We talked about a lot of that in last week's live stream. I don't want to go through everything again, but a lot of channels, including some very big channels recently, they got suspended. My channel got suspended. She saw my channel was on the suspended list. Now, I didn't even actually know that my channel was suspended until she told me. She said that it was only suspended probably for only a few hours before it got brought back. I'm a little bit unclear of whether she got it brought back or whether it came back on its own. I heard the news story that a lot of channels were suspended, including some very large channels. The biggest probably being the Miley Cyrus Vivo channel, which had 10 million subscribers. And there was other channels that I saw got suspended that had millions of subscribers as well. But I didn't even know that my channel was part of that because YouTube is really clamping down and they're going crazy on everything. Now, I was lucky because my channel got back, it got reinstated. There's one channel I heard it got suspended. It had 2 million subscribers, was completely family friendly, and that never got brought back. There's a lot of channels that have been completely demonetized or suspended, and they're having problems coming back. Now, in all these troubles on YouTube, I'll say that I've actually been pretty lucky, and I don't have it. I have it. Everyone has it bad to some extent, but I don't have it to the level of a lot of other YouTubers and a lot of other things that I've been hearing. And yes, my channel got suspended for only like a few hours, I guess, before it got brought back. Like I said, I'm unclear whether she personally told them, "Hey, like I know these guys, reinstate their channel," or if it just got reinstated automatically or some other way. But I don't know how much that hurt my channel. Obviously, you lose thousands of views because no one can see your videos during that time period. I don't know if it hurt me in the algorithm. I asked her, she wasn't quite sure about that herself, but it just shows you I've had this channel for over 10 years now, almost 11 years. 2007 is when I started this channel, and I just started it out of love. This wasn't a business. I've never run this channel actually like a business. But I put a lot of time into this channel. I spent thousands of my own dollars creating videos for this channel, and it's just been a passion of mine and a real love. But it shows you too how crazy the landscape is getting, especially here on YouTube with the political correctness and all like the Nazi like censorship of everything, and how they demonetize your videos or they manipulate the algorithm so your channel, your videos kind of die out. Um, you can't really bank on it. I remember years ago, this was maybe 6, 7 years ago, I was in the forums and I was reading the YouTube forums, the Google forums, and I was reading about someone who they lost their AdSense account on their YouTube. AdSense basically kicked them out. And this was a pretty large channel, much larger than mine. And they said that they wanted to talk to a YouTube employee basically to see if they could come to some resolution because they couldn't even figure out why they were kicked out of AdSense. And finally, a YouTube employee actually responded, and it's an answer that I never forgot. She said, don't, because this other person was saying, oh, I lost, this is how I support myself, this is how I make my living, and now it's completely zeroed, and can we please get it reinstated? And the YouTube employee that finally responded, I'll never forget their answer. They said, don't put all your eggs in one basket. And I never forgot you. And I thought, well, that kind of shows how much YouTube cares about its creators. If instead of even looking into it and trying to find some sort of resolution to it, and it was like some wholesome channel, I think, too, like knitting or something like that, knitting tutorials or something like that. But I don't remember exactly what it was, but when the YouTube employee responded, that was basically all they wrote. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And then it showed me, how not dependable YouTube is and how much they actually care for creators. So that was a big issue. But our partner manager, like I said, I don't really know what they can do other than talk to you. But I will say she's doing a pretty fabulous job of handling us. If she's personally responsible for getting my account reinstated, I'm very thankful for that, of course. But you brought up the issue today, our other partner manager that managed Philippine creators. Would she have even bothered, or would she would have just said, I don't really care. I don't like those people anyways. I'm not going to bother with it. I don't know. Maybe she would have said, hey, these people are all right. Let's do what I can for them. Maybe she would have said, I'm not going to bother with these people since I don't care for them anyways.
Well, first of all, hi guys. How are you? Hope all of you are doing great today. What are you gonna do this weekend? Well, as you said, I was just actually wondering what could have happened or what could the partner manager have done if it happened to a Philippine YouTube
No,
creator, a
to us.
YouTuber.
You said
I mean, if it happened to us
and we
and
were
we have
still
the
under
same
her.
the same partner manager, correct? Well, all I can say is just I'm just really thankful that the channel was suspended for a few hours only, despite not knowing about what happened.
And
It was
we,
really a
yeah.
surprise to me when our partner manager told us about that, and I was glad as soon as she said it's back. And I mean, it happened for a few hours and it's back because what's good is that we didn't really feel it happened until she told us about it.
Yeah, and I didn't even know. I guess it happened when we were asleep. Like I said, I did hear the news story that so many large channels did get suspended, and many of those, like the Miley Cyrus Vivo channel, got reinstated. But I didn't even know that mine was. It just shows you put in 10 years into something, and all that money that you put in, which shows me too that I need to start backing up my channel. So backing up all the videos on this. I need to find another video platform. There was that one that was starting to come out and get big, VidMe, but they just announced last week that they're shutting down.
Yeah. Well, after hearing that from our partner manager, I started not liking artificial intelligence more. But, I
Because
really,
I should explain for the people, that's they use AI to demonetize and delete videos and stuff. And I think it was AI that actually suspended all these channels. I think it was somewhat of a glitch actually for some of these.
right. But I wonder, you guys, what do you think of AI? Um, it's kind of scary if you think of AI to be more controlling, just like in the movies that
The
I've watched,
Terminator.
in the future. But, like it's kind of just blows my mind, like how it could, potentially be just scary. But I don't want to be scared anyways. Let's just have let's just be thankful for another day, like today that we're talking to you, and you guys feel free to talk to us.
We'll get to your questions and comments here in a minute. Also, Super Chat is enabled. That's a way to support this channel. Like I said, I put in a lot of time and my own money definitely into this channel. You can also support us on Patreon. The link is in the description. But yeah, it's crazy to think about. After 10 years, I could have been one of those where my whole channel gets deleted and that's it. I think it was actually an AI glitch that deleted all these channels. But many channels, even some with millions of subscribers, never came back. And it's kind of a scary time on YouTube. We talked about that a lot last week in our live stream. So we don't need to go through some of that. We can start looking at some of these questions and comments. See if anyone has anything interesting to say. I'm trying to see. So what's going on with you, Imabel, while I look at these?
Okay, what is going on with me? Well, this week has been a very good week, and I think I have just been looking forward to hanging with you again, guys, on this live stream. So I would love to hear from you guys. And by the way, thank you once again to our super chatters last week and the week before that. We really, guys, appreciate you as well as our Patreon family. Thank you so much. And to our Patreon family, if any one of you are on the room right now, in the room right now, we will be sending a message about the um, exclusive Skype call, or maybe we could figure out. We're trying to figure out something so we could do that with you. And of course, we are still figuring out who among you will be receiving that as a thank you from us, of course.
Um, Car CEAA, who also sent me some tips on he sent us some tips for what we do.
Thank
So
you,
for us, thank you.
CEAA.
He's suspended for what? I think we answered that. It was just a glitch by the AI, I guess. Were these random suspensions across the board? It seems like it. It targeted a lot of large channels. Andy says, I recall seeing a channel with younger children and a family. The kids were being exploited, and that's why it was suspended. I think we talked about that last week. I think you're talking about that one that had 8.5 million subscribers, and it was in the top 100 most viewed channels of all of YouTube, and they suspended it, as they should have, from what I heard about that. And I was saying how does something like that slip under the radar? Apparently, it's a mom and dad, especially the dad. He was abusing his children on camera for the pleasure of perverts that are watching.
Well, let me just add this. Our because I asked our content manager why our channel was suspended, and she said she really didn't know it must be a glitch because she herself was telling us how the videos on our channel are really wholesome, and she sees nothing wrong for it to be suspended. So AI, you better be better.
And
Anyways,
and yeah, that one channel definitely deserved it. There's someone with a Chinese name. He says, sorry to hear. Is it possible you were getting political? Nope, we don't really get political on this channel. I have to admit, I lost interest when you exploit children. I don't know if you're talking about me, but if you are, that's fake news. I've never exploited children on this channel, unless he's talking about those other videos that we talked about last week. And that's why there's all these new problems, because you had all these videos that were just, even on the kids app, that were just really sick and demented, and no one thinks that those should be on YouTube. The problem is, it's like YouTube is punishing everyone because of that, because of those other videos, which everyone will agree that shouldn't be on here. There's certain things, like, no one wants, at least most of us, we don't want censorship on YouTube by any means. And the thing is, we don't want censorship, we want freedom of speech, but there's certain things we can all agree on that shouldn't be on. Those videos that exploit children, no one thinks that that should be on YouTube. Also, the so-called extremist videos of, like, terrorist recruitment videos. No one thinks that we can all agree, whether you're a liberal, whether you're a conservative, whether you're anything in between, we can all agree that should not be on YouTube, and that's really, no one's complaining that that's impeding our freedom of speech. But the problem is they've been censoring so many people, and now they have all these AI for the past few months that censors people, and it's very arbitrary. It's a lot of things that you would never even expect. There was a video put out a few days ago by our friends who have a big YouTube channel. It's called China Uncensored. You might remember we collaborated with them about a year ago when they came to the Philippines. But China Uncensored, it's a great channel. There's no swearing, there's nothing like that. But they kind of criticize in a humorous way. It's funny but true. They criticize a lot of things about the Chinese government, the Communist Party in China, and just about all their videos, it seems, have been demonetized. And I think that also hurts. They quit recommending them out so they don't get the views, but it's killing their channel basically. China Uncensored, which is a great channel. Just that word alone in their channel name, Uncensored, I think that's a trigger word
The AI.
for the AI, because the way the AI does it, it's not even so much about the content in the video. It's about the title. Number one is what it looks for. The thumbnail, number two, to the video, and then like the description and tags. It's
Yeah.
looking for certain words. Like there's certain things like words or phrases. One thing that seems to trigger it is if you title "how to make money," like "how to make money on Instagram." If that's the title of your video, it's going to be demonetized. It's going to be hit. It doesn't want you. Or if you do "how to make money on Amazon," the AI is gonna hit that.
Well, it's good that YouTube is taking action in terms of suspending or deactivating channels that are not really supposed to be there, especially those that are not good for children.
They should have never
But
been on YouTube for
but
years, though. They
yeah,
should have cleaned it up
but
years
but
ago.
that was my second point. They could have done something about it sooner, not and they could not have waited for backlash for them to take action. And now that they're taking action, yes, that's good, but it's also affecting the channels that should not be affected by what
It's
they're
affecting
doing.
almost everyone.
And of course, I would understand YouTube why they're doing this because they're trying to be safe in their relationship with the advertisers. But how about the creators? They won't be advertisers if they won't be creators. So,
Well,
you know,
you just brought up a good point where you said understanding YouTube's perspective. To be fair to YouTube, yeah, they don't really want to demonetize videos because they also lose money on it. They don't like having the advertisers pull out, because this is what it's all about. All these big corporations, they're pulling advertising off of YouTube. So now YouTube's reacting, but really they're overreacting, and it's really hurting everyone. And YouTube, sadly, is quickly becoming a place where nothing that's at all even remotely interesting can exist on YouTube. So that's the sad part. Now, understandable for YouTube. They're losing a lot of money and they're trying to scramble and do what they can. I don't think they're handling it very well at all. And definitely it's killing the whole website. There's three groups of people basically that need to be happy with YouTube. The advertisers, who's not happy right now, so they're pulling all their ads. You need the advertisers to keep YouTube running because, like anything else, just like I need money to run my channel, YouTube needs money to run the whole website. So you got to keep the advertisers happy, and they're not happy. You also have to make creators happy. Otherwise, they're not going to be creating content for the website anymore. And the problem is the creators are also not happy right now. And the third group of people that you need to keep happy is the viewers, you guys. And the viewers aren't happy right now. The viewers are suffering from all this. So, and it's a delicate balancing act for YouTube, which is, I'm sure, not an easy job for YouTube. But not, and it seems like anytime they try and go more to please one of those groups of people, be it the creators, the viewers, or the advertisers, the other two groups get unhappy. But at this point, all three groups of people are unhappy. So who knows what's going to happen to YouTube, but it's very quickly becoming a very sad place where nothing interesting can exist on the website. And after being on this website since I think 2000, since 2006. I started this channel in 2007. I had one before that. ABS-CBN got the whole channel deleted. You know, that's another story. But I've been on YouTube for since 2006 and seeing all the changes and stuff, both good and bad. I've seen a lot of changes, both good and bad. Uh, but this has got to be the worst change in the history of the site.
Let me just send a shout out to John Blackwell. He's joining us now. Hi, John. Hi to Irene as well. And let's see. Do you wanna?
I'm looking. We got Robert. He says, how about making a backup channel? Some are doing that, but you got to make it not even on YouTube because the AI, since it's not a human, it's just the AI is going to scan everything on the site, so they'll scan the exact same thing, and they can delete that too. You'd have to make up your backup on a completely different site. There's just no competitors to YouTube right now. There's been rumors actually that Amazon is going to start a YouTube competitor, which would really be nice. And it seems that YouTube or Google and Amazon, they're kind of getting in, they're getting very unhappy with each other. I guess this week Amazon announced that on its devices, starting in January of 2018, they're no longer going to allow the YouTube app on their devices even.
Yeah.
Rick Lander says, Kamusta from your fan in Tennessee. YouTube seems to be gaining a more corporate mentality as they get older. You can see what that mentality has done to America every day in the news here. Well, I don't know if it's that because they've always been very corporate. It's just now there's these other corporations pulling out their advertising is making them scramble and panic and go to extreme measures that hurts everyone on YouTube. But I think the thing that YouTube would be best doing if when these big corporations pull out and say we're not going to advertise on YouTube, I think that YouTube would be best if they said, okay, you're pulling your advertising. Well, now we're going to blacklist you from being allowed to advertise. You're never going to have the opportunity to advertise on our platform again. And I think some of these corporations would start rethinking it. They would say, hey, let's talk about this. Let's not go to extremes. But if YouTube tried to pull a power move of saying, okay, don't advertise with us, but you're never going to be allowed to advertise with us again. We're going to blacklist you for the rest of eternity from advertising on both YouTube and Google. You're going to be banned. I think a lot of them would reconsider that because right now the advertisers have all the power.
Right. I actually asked, that's one question I asked our party manager about how these advertisers could censor or, you know, or censor or tell YouTube on which ones to, which ones are okay, not okay in terms of content. But anyways, are you trying to read another
Yeah,
comment?
well, I'm looking at what John Blackwell says here about YouTube would be nothing without the content creators.
True.
Very true. But like I said, they have those three groups of people, and it's a balancing act. The problem is no one's happy now. No, whether it's the creators, the viewers, or the advertisers, everyone's unhappy. So clearly something needs to change. He says there needs to be representation for content creators. There should be some kind of union that would lobby for those guys. Yeah, I'm not real big into unions, but unions can be a good thing. They can be a bad thing. They can be a good thing. Uh, yeah, I've seen a few people bring up that idea. I think it is an interesting idea if there was a union for YouTubers. I think something like that would be very hard to organize and get together. Like because anytime you start a union, especially if it's to deal with something like entertainment, like sport, like even sports, because I know for the UFC, some for MMA, they're trying to get a union. The problem is, of course, all the least paid guys, the smaller fries, they would all want a union because it would benefit them. But the thing is, people like Conor McGregor, the people that are at the top, the few people at the top making the really big stuff, they would never want to go along with it. And to get a union, you really need the biggest people to want to go along with it. But I've seen a few people bring up that idea if there was some sort of union. I don't know how it would get going. I don't know the legalities of it, but it's definitely an interesting idea.
Right.
Ricknator, here's something different, changing topic. Ricknator says, really enjoyed your Baguio video. You do a great job. Well,
Thank
thank you
you, Rick
very
Nader.
much. Thank you, Rick. I think that series, and we have a playlist on the channel, that series where we went to Baguio is some of the best work I've done. Those are some of my favorite videos. Those are 5 videos total that we did in Baguio. But you can check out the playlist on this channel. I really think that that's some of my best work. I think at this point, something like that might not be feasible to do for YouTube anymore with the way things are going. And it's very discouraging to content creators. Like, what's even the point? You're just going to get your video censored and buried where they won't show it out to people, which has been an issue now for at least a year, where they've done that. Creators, they bury your video and they won't show it out to people. It doesn't even go out to all your subscribers when you upload a video. So it's kind of like it gets to be, from the creator's perspective, you start to think, what's the point? Why even make videos for YouTube? They're not even going to show them to people that would want to see them a lot of the time.
Have we mentioned about the community, the new community feature to our viewers last on our previous live stream? Maybe you want to mention that?
You can talk about it since you started updating it with me.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure if you guys have noticed it. There's a new feature on YouTube. It is actually under the community tab. But so for the community tab, we're able to post anything. We post links to videos or just any announcement or just shout outs to you guys or whatever we do. Just like when you post something on Facebook, there it's on YouTube. So hopefully you see that and you comment. You comment to that, and for you to be able to see that, you click on the community tab on the channel when you go to this channel. Hopefully YouTube will make another tab just like what you were saying, so it doesn't go to the subscription notification. Is that correct? Or it doesn't.
It goes
Even,
to the subscriptions only if you're on a mobile device. If you only watch YouTube from a desktop or laptop, you won't see it. But we talked about that last week. But you can also see it by going to my channel and then clicking the community tab.
Right. So try to keep connected with us through that community tab as well. Would love to hear from you as well, guys. And from Willard Cardona. Hi, Travis and Immobile. Hope you're doing fine always. Thank you, Willard. And he said that AI is seeming like a virus of a kind in disguise. Ha ha ha. That's very good points. And Rick Nato, this is interesting.
Go ahead.
He said, I will say in regards to your video being in search. Where is it? Okay, there. He said, I will say in regards to your video being in search that when I searched Baguio, your video was near the top. That is really good. I'm glad to hear that. Have you been to Baguio yet, or you're planning to go there? So, whether you've been there or you're going there, I hope you have a great time there. Christmas, that's really a peak season for Baguio, so it could really be very crowded. But just have a great time there.
And guys, if you see that little $sign at the bottom of the chat, don't be afraid to click that. You can support us through that. That's called Super Chat. You just click the little $sign, and there's a slider there that determines how much you want to contribute. We had a few the last couple live streams we did. So don't be afraid to click that little $sign as I lose my voice here. I'm trying my best for you guys. I even shaved for you guys. Does it look nice? I just shaved.
I know he didn't shave like for how many days? I was like, are you gonna shave? And then now that we're having this live stream, he shaved finally. So
I almost had a beard.
I guess you're more important than me.
we took a photo yesterday that you can see on my Facebook page. But we took a photo and it wasn't as bad yesterday morning when we took the photo as was today. By tonight, when it was really growing out, I practically had a full beard, which would be good if I was going hunting and need to keep my face warm.
You want to be Santa Claus.
We've been seeing friends hunting pictures on
Yeah.
Facebook and stuff and on the internet, getting their deer and stuff. But if you're going hunting, it's not a bad idea to grow a beard to keep your face warm, especially if you're going hunting in a place like North Dakota where it's so cold. That's why I never went hunting with my family. I didn't want to be out there in the cold doing that hard work.
Shafo said, "How's the adobo?"
How's the adobo? Well, the video of that is almost, well, it's 10 years old now.
Unless you're asking about the
I,
food, we didn't have adobo today.
I did have some chicken today and some eggs.
Speaking of adobo, if John Blackwell is still in the room, I remember he was telling us how he cooks adobo. I think that's really a great way to cook it. Maybe one of these days we'll try the adobo of John Blackwell. So
That video that I did, that if you go back in my a few backs in my vlog, there's a playlist on the channel too. That talk I did at UST, if you watch that video, I talk a lot about the adobo video. But that's I did that in October of 2007, so just over 10 years, 10 years and about a month ago I did that.
Shafu, I think you have to catch up. Try to watch the other exciting videos we have on this channel.
I did another cooking video as a follow-up. I did a sequel. It's called Salo Salo. Search that on YouTube. And that I really like a lot. It didn't get seen as much. It has like a little bit less than 200,000 views. And it didn't quite go viral the same way that the adobo video did. But it's funny because a lot of people, they want to make YouTube videos and they want to go viral. And they try and try and try and they don't. It takes a long time to have success, if they ever have success. I was very lucky that a lot of my early videos went viral. That was like one of the first videos I did, and it went viral. I didn't even hear I didn't even had heard the term viral. Wow!
Wow!
Jez Wales
Woo!
sends us a
That's
super chat. Thank you,
round
Jez
of
Wales.
applause.
He's,
Join me, guys.
he says, "Hey guys, Merry Christmas. Quick question: is it true that that Subic Bay is a tax-free zone? I'm thinking of starting a call center business." And Jez Wales, he sent us a super chat, and you do that by the little dollar sign there at the bottom of the video. If you're watching the replay of this, it disappears. It's only during live. But Jez Wales sent us 10 pounds, which I think is about $17. If someone can double check that on me, I can't do it right now. But I think that's about $17, 10 pounds. I could be off on that. Maybe it's like $13 or $14. But his question is it true that Subic Bay is a tax-free zone? Because he's thinking of starting a call center business there. I think you heard, we were just in Subic Bay. I don't know if you saw the video on this channel, which is one of our more recent videos. But I think you heard something about the tax-free.
Well, actually, in terms of tax-free, what I know, because I was talking to the people from Subic Bay, especially from the hotel, they said she recommended that we go to the stores there, these two particular stores there, because she told me that the items there are cheaper than in regular stores here in Manila because they're tax-free. But with your question, if it's a tax-free zone in terms of putting up a business like a call center, I don't want to give you a specific information right now, but feel free. I'm personally going to check that out for you.
We also do consultations because I get so many questions from people, and we charge from that. But since he sent me a nice super chat for a whole 10 pounds, which I said I think it's around $17. Could be maybe 13 or 14. I'm not really sure offhand. It's 13. Someone says it's $13.39. That's a pretty good super chat. Thank you so much for that.
And
how can he get a hold of you?
I'm going to leave a comment with my email address right now, so you can send me an email, and I'll get back to you as soon as I get the accurate information for your question. Is that okay? Because I don't want to give you an info now that I haven't.
Or you can leave your info in the chat box.
That I want to verify first before I really send you something.
Or if you want to leave your info in the chat box, go ahead.
But if you don't feel like leaving your email address, I could leave my email address right now in the comment section, So you can take note of that and feel free to send me an email so I know how to get back to you.
Whoa, we got another one. $10. That's a lot of
Wow,
dull
that
hairs.
is another clap for
Chris
Chris
Ray.
Ray. Thank you, Chris Ray.
Thank you so much, Chris, because we weren't even going to bother to click the monetization button on this video, especially because I think that this has trigger words like suspended in the title, because we talked about that. Also, it's probably triggering some of the things that I'm talking about and a few of the racier things that I'm going to talk about. Stay tuned in a little bit. But Chris Ray, who sent us $10, 10 doll hairs, the amazing Spider Travis, love all your videos. You and Ema keep my interest in the Phils alive.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
thank you very much, Chris. That's so heartwarming. Let me leave my email address here right now.
Jez Wales
Okay,
says, contact me through my channel,
sure.
question mark.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, after this, their
Oh,
comments all
right.
disappear.
Right.
I don't know if you guys are aware how many live streams you watch, and then if you guys go back, one of the bad things about live streaming on YouTube, you guys leave these really great questions and comments. But after the live stream's over and the recording goes up, your guys' questions and comments disappear. So when the recording goes up, if you want to make your voice be heard, you can come by, leave a comment, say something. You can say, "Hey, I watched this live. It was nice to talk to you guys," or whatever you want to do, because YouTube deletes your comments after this is over. Then it uploads a recording of it, but your comments and questions are gone, unfortunately. So when the recording goes up, feel free to stop by and say something to let your thoughts be known to the world. Uh,
But I'm going to leave my email address. I'll try to send you a message, I guess. Just give me a minute.
Shafu says, no good night kiss, Travis. Uh, I don't know you, so I'm not going to give you a kiss. You're not. Are you? I'll give her a kiss.
And I'm going to give this
There
back
you
to you.
go.
There you go.
There's
You
your
got
good night.
it. You got it.
There's your good night kiss. You can check out the recording. So, also, you guys that are doing super chats, such as Chris Ray and Jez Wales, I'm going to be posting your names to give you guys credit on my Facebook page. And my Facebook page is facebook.com/TravisCraftOfficial, my Facebook fan page. So you guys can see your names there. I want to give you guys credit. I want to do what I can for you guys. Imabel left her email address for you there, Jez.
I'll try to send you a
So
message right now, I guess. Let me try to. Because one thing I try not to use my phone while we're doing the live stream because it could affect the internet connection. We're in the Philippines, you know what I mean?
I
So,
I it's funny because so many people were asking me questions about the Philippines, and people were going to my personal website, traviscraft.com, and on the contact, which the contact is there for you to contact me about if you want to hire me for a gig, for a job. But all these people started using it to write me questions about the Philippines, and I was getting so many, and it's like, you're getting like 100 a day. Even if I take 5 minutes to answer each email, I wouldn't have time for anything else. So I put something on my website saying I do consulting. If you have a question, PayPal me $25, and then send me an email with your question. And the thing is, too, because it does take time, like something like this, for some questions occasionally, especially when they ask something very specific, you have to do a little bit of research. So it does take time. Like one guy asked me a question about the Manila Yacht Club and like what their fees are to park and some other things about their rules and regulations of the Manila Yacht Club. Well, I don't know what Manila Yacht Club's rules and regulations are off the top of my head. That's something I would have to pick up a phone and call them and ask those questions. So sometimes with very specific things like that, you do have to do a little research. This is someone asking a question about tax laws if you're going to open a business in Subic. So that's something that we don't live in Subic. If you saw that last video, though, we had a great time. And what's great if you're going to live in Subic or visit Subic, what's different about that compared to most of the rest of the Philippines is it's very clean. compared. Both the air pollution is not as bad, and that you don't see trash all over the ground. So there's a big advantage. A lot of things there are set up in American style since that's where they used to have our military base there. So the house, even the houses and stuff, a lot of them are more like American type of architecture. It looks and feels a lot newer and just cleaner, and it feels more modern. It feels much more like a first world country than most
Right.
of the rest of this country, especially if you're talking about in terms of pollution. Even there's places like BGC that are nice and modern. Which BGC, I think it's a little overrated because it's really just a very small. It's nice and it's very new, but it's really just a very small area. But you still have the air pollution there, the noise pollution they try and cut down on. Hey, Steve Dornbos, who supports us on Patreon. If you guys want to support us, the link is in the description. Thanks for joining us, Steve. Glad to
I
have you here.
also saw Terrence Brown earlier. He's one of the early birds on this live stream. Steve Dornbos, Terrence Brown, thank you so much. They're part of our very wonderful Patreon family.
Kevin says, update please. Why are you banned now? Uh, well, I'm not banned currently. I was banned. I don't want to tell the whole story again, so please wait till this uploads as a recording, and you'll get the whole story because it's kind of a long story. But I just watched something I referenced a few minutes ago. We're going to get a little bit racier here, and if you watch my live streams, we tend to get a little bit more free with the conversation. I was watching History Channel a couple hours ago, and they had this show of the top 10 dictators of all time.
Mhm.
And one thing that they said about the dictators was people that have a lot of power, they tend to be into very perverse forms of sexuality. Uh, I'm not even going to tell you about some of the stuff they were talking about, but that really struck a chord with me because they said people that with lots of power, they tend to be into perverse forms of sexuality. And I think, well, geez, that's like very much like we're seeing today, like all the scandals in government and Hollywood, or earlier last year, Pizzagate, the Pizzagate thing. People were saying John Podesta and Hillary Clinton's employees couldn't be into those types of things because they have these very important positions. It's like, are you kidding me? That makes it much more likely that they would be into it. And what they said on History Channel confirms it. Like when they talk about those Roman emperors or the Chinese emperors, or something very interesting that they said about number one on the list was Genghis Khan. And I've actually wanted to visit Mongolia for the longest time. If I could get an opportunity, I want to visit Mongolia for like 15 years now. It's been like since I was young, I've always wanted to go there. It seems like a cool place. But Genghis Khan was number one on the list, and they said that one out of every 200 people on Earth has DNA of Genghis Khan because he had so many children. He had so many children, like hundreds and hundreds of children, that one out of 200 people on planet Earth, I'm sure, of course, mostly here in Asia, if not only in Asia. So maybe you have some DNA from Genghis Khan. Is
It's
that
possible.
maybe that's where you get your toughness from, your warrior spirit, your fighting spirit? Because even though Imabel is a very sweet girl, if you mess with her, you don't want to see her angry, man. Like when someone
Yeah.
messes with her, and she's very take charge. This is what I love about Imabel. She's very take charge, and Imabel gets things done. And she also manages these tours for people in the Philippines. She hosts weddings, but like when you host these tours, you really need that kind, the people skills and the take charge kind of attitude to make the client's tour really go well.
Right. Speaking of tours, actually, I recently got a few inquiries for tour management, and we'll see. Maybe one of these days, they don't have the dates yet, and they're not yet sure about coming here, or they're not sure about the dates yet. So that's a very great thing to be doing soon. So you guys, if you have plans of visiting the Philippines and you would like us to assist you, you would like me and Travis as a team to manage your tour, feel free to contact us. By the way, I left my email address on the comment section, which will disappear after the live stream.
Maybe you
So
can leave it as a
I can
comment.
also leave another comment later. And Travis already mentioned why the comments will disappear. So for you guys who just joined us late,
We have someone that
like
just
right
joined us
now,
here.
and you haven't heard what we've been discussing about earlier, feel free to listen to the recording of this live stream later.
We have a comment from someone that just joined us, and even though I talked about this, I'll mention it again real quick. He says, "Hey Travis, would you try VidMe if you got suspended on YouTube? VidMe is a YouTube and Reddit hybrid. Please read this, please." He says, "Well, I guess you're just coming on because, as we said last week, VidMe announced that they're shutting down, and no, even all the videos that are currently on their channel, they're going to disappear. I think on the 14th or 15th of December, so very soon. And they didn't give people much notice. I actually signed up for a VidMe account, but I never actually uploaded any videos there, which is good because I would have went through all that time for invested in nothing. But it's going away, so there you go. VidMe, which seemed like it was going to be the main competitor to YouTube, and we need a competitor. Any competitor. We can't have one thing that has a monopoly or has all the power.
Thank you, Dominic, for that question. Let me just to let's see to you, Jess, our super chatter tonight. I went to your channel, but I don't see an option to send you a message. So if you can, I think it'll be better if you just send me an email, please. I already left my email address on the comment section right now. Or you can leave your email address where I could send you an email as soon as I get the information verified.
Going back to that topic of all the scandals that are going on throughout Hollywood and Washington right now. That's a very hot button issue, and I've been getting a lot of questions about it because we do a lot of videos about dating on this channel. Now people have a lot of questions. Well, geez, most of these things have pretty much, I think, all of these things happened supposedly years ago, and now everyone's getting in trouble for it now. How can I stay safe or protect myself from this? Questions like that, but I consider doing it, but it's another thing now with YouTube's crazy stuff, like it's a little too politically incorrect of a topic, maybe. Will I get penalized? These are good questions, though, especially if you're doing videos about dating. These are things that people want to know, of course. And it's funny, too, because, some of these guys that did this stuff, of course, they're scumbags. I'm not going to defend them. But there's other people that were accused that deny it. And it's kind of, who knows what happened, and you are innocent. You should be at least innocent until proven guilty. And it really has become a witch hunt, unfortunately. Now, I'm not going to defend guys, especially guys like Weinstein. I think he's a scumbag. Though when you think about it, of course he was using his power to get women, because what else is he gonna have? He's not gonna be able to use his good looks. He's hideous looking. He looks like a total beast. So how is he going to compete with young, good-looking guys? How would he, if me and him are in the same room, how is he going to compete for a woman? He's not going to be able to use his looks, probably not even his charm, really. He's probably not a very charming guy, but he has power, so that's what he uses to get women. And some new revelations came out a day or two ago with some of these actresses that supposedly hooked up with him in order to get a role, and it seems that there is at least some truth to some of this. And we watched this movie last night. What was it called, Imabel?
It's called Grace Unplugged.
And tell what kind of movie was that? Tell them.
It's a faith-based film, but the story is very interesting because it's about it could be based it could be based on reality. The main character is, a praise and worship leader in church.
It's a Christian movie.
And then she has this dream to really become big as a singer and musician in Hollywood. So she pursued that despite her dad, who was a former rock star, you know, did not want her to do. And then eventually, when she was already in Hollywood and she got to meet all these stars, and one of them is her super favorite pop star, that was that line from that character, the popular pop star she adores, kind of, it was very timely with
Well,
everything
well,
that's happening.
I'll mention it. This movie's from 2013, so before all these Hollywood scandals started coming out.
Right.
But when she finally meets her pop star this pop star that she idolizes, and she has a sit down, private, one on one conversation with her, and this pop star says to her, "Your body is your currency, and sometimes you have to spend it." Which, I mean, this has been going on in Hollywood since the beginning. Since the movies have been being made, this has been going on. But now all this is starting to come to light for the general public. So that's the one thing too. It was a Christian film, so they had to keep it PG. I was saying because she has a guy, a Jewish guy, comes as the manager, which I guess that's pretty realistic, that part. But he comes and then she hooks up with him. It was her dad's former manager. But I was saying if this was real life, this guy would be a Weinstein and he would be doing all sorts of terrible things to her. They can't have that in the movie because it is a Christian movie and it has to stay PG rated. But it was interesting, that scene and that line, and they kind of allude to some of these things. They allude to all these things that this is what's done in Hollywood. So I thought that part was interesting. Of course, they couldn't be totally realistic with it because they're trying to market the movie to Christians and families, and they have to keep it wholesome.
Plus, I think it's good. It's okay that they didn't have to go to really show more than that, because what is important is that they're able to convey the message that they had to convey.
We're getting a
And I
lot.
like the movie.
We're getting a lot of comments still about the whole YouTube demonetization and suspension issue. And my partner manager, what she said to me, if you don't know what we're talking about, if you just tuned in, wait till this re-uploads and you'll hear the whole story. But my partner manager, she said too, look, you can't really rely on any money coming in from ads from now on. She said, you have a Patreon, which is good. She said, push your Patreon. And to you guys that have given us super chats while we're on here, thank you so much, because we really appreciate it, especially now. And to those of you supporting us on Patreon and making these contributions, we really appreciate it.
Right. I just remembered I got an inquiry about hosting a wedding reception, and every time I get inquiries like this, I just get excited, because it's so nice to hear, people getting married and planning the wedding and all that stuff. So that's something that I always look forward to. One of the favorite events that I host is actually weddings. And you guys, if you have plans of getting married in the Philippines, feel free to contact me as well, because I would love to host your wedding reception program there. And I think this is interesting. From Bengala Travels, Philippines and Beyond, our pastor calls Hollywood Hollywood, the great rename, in my opinion.
And I see we've been going on for almost an hour. If you guys want to give us a super chat, because you can only do it when it's live, and we'll post your names on our Facebook page. Do it now. Just click the little $sign, and there's a slider, and pretty easy to figure out, but you got to click that $sign. So do it now before we wrap up, because we've been going for almost an hour, and I need to start being more disciplined when we do these streams. One thing that I've been considering actually is starting a whole new channel, and I never started another channel because it's very hard to manage more than one channel, and this has really been my hobby. It's not like I tried to make this my business, but I love this live format. But the problem is, a lot of people that regularly watch me, they're not interested in it. So for people that are interested in this specific kind of thing instead of the other stuff that we do, maybe just starting a whole new channel where we talk to you guys live, and that. Can you help me find a wife?
Maybe soon we could help you when we are able to establish One of our amazing plans.
We might have
Chris.
something in the works for you, so hang tight. That, but that's all we can say right now.
Chris, how do you pronounce your name? Is it Chrisiden or Chris Iden? He actually asked, "Hi Travis and Immobile. I came late but can replay. My question is, what is the safest like first world city? I briefly heard Subic Bay when I came in. Thanks. Yes, surely you can listen to the recording. I'm hoping that the recording is complete considering the internet connection and all that. But one thing I would like to add about Subic Bay, since that's one of our recent vlogs.
I think that's maybe the best video that we've had in a while,
Yes,
actually.
is one thing about Subic Bay, they are really disciplined. The people there are disciplined because even for traffic rules, it reminded me of Singapore because for if you're in Manila, people just cross even though they're not supposed to cross the street or it's not your time for them to cross. But there, you really have to observe traffic rules, or else you'll be penalized.
Someone says keep the same channel and people should just ignore the live chats if they don't like it. Not worth maintaining two channels. Well, thank you for your feedback. Like I said, something I'm seriously considering, even though I've never split my channel up. I've never had a second channel. Uh, yeah, that's one philosophy, but I don't know. It's something to think about. I appreciate your feedback. Like I said, we're going to wrap up, guys, pretty soon. So if you want to do a super chat while we're live, hit the little $ there at the bottom, or you can also support us on Patreon. The link is in the description. Um, his uncle was in the Marines, Army, and was in Subic Bay years ago. I got an interesting comment from someone that watched the video of us in Subic Bay. It's funny because a lot of guys, even guys that don't normally watch my stuff, they saw the video, they saw it on other websites and stuff, uh, or linked. They saw the link and then clicked over. And so many guys said, "Oh, I was stationed in Subic Bay. Boy, that really brings back memories. It's really cool to see it again." And it's interesting to hear that from people, like from these former military guys. But one comment I got that was in particularly interesting, and this is his experience. So before you guys get offended by it, keep in mind that this is his experience. We should just assume it's true. And not everyone has the same experience with things. So just like if you use a product or a service from a company, one person might have a good experience, another person might have a bad experience. It doesn't mean that just because you had a good experience using a company that someone else didn't have a bad experience. But this guy said that he was stationed in Subic Bay and there was a lot of Filipinos that they let join the American Navy. And that's actually how they eventually end up moving to America. But he said he hated working with the local Filipinos because he said if you outranking them and then you give them an order, they would just complain and say, "Oh, you're discriminating against me." And then they would go to your superior and complain about you. And he said it was just a mess working with them. Now, maybe if anyone's in the military and has a different experience, you can leave that. But he said that was what his experience was. And I thought that was kind of interesting. And I know that's the kind of comment that would offend a lot of people. But I don't know what his experience is. Maybe it was true. Maybe it was true, at least in his case. Maybe another guy that was in the Navy and worked with Filipinos that joined up, maybe they would tell you a complete different experience. I'm sure that would happen. So, but I thought that was interesting, and it's not something I'd heard or thought of before. But like I said, I assume it's true in his experience, even though other people, I'm sure, had a very different experience.
Thank you for that nice word, Eugene Kirsch. And once again, to our super chatters for tonight's live stream, thank you so much, Chris Ray and Jazz Wales. Jazz, I'm still trying to I'm finding a way to send you a message, but I didn't see any option on your YouTube channel. So feel free to send me an email. I've already left my email address on the comment section. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you. And like what I said earlier, I'm going to send you the information as soon as I get it verified. So
Steve Dornbo says that part about the Navy's true. Steve, who's been supporting us on Patreon for a very long time, thank you, Steve. He says that part about the Navy's true. Could you elaborate on that, Steve? Did you have unpleasant experiences working with Filipinos or any other kind of locals of where you were stationed. I know you lived in Korea for a while. We actually have a video. One of Steve is in one of our vlogs.
Yeah.
That anytime one of our supporters on Patreon comes to town, and we try and make an effort to meet up with them, and we met up with Steve. We had a lovely evening with him.
And his lovely wife.
Steve's pretty young, but he's a military guy.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you, Steve, um, was already on a lot here when I said something. We're going to send a message to some of you guys in our Patreon family about an exclusive call we can have with you as our thank you to our patrons. So watch out for that.
But that's interesting that Steve basically confirms what that other guy said, even though I'm sure a lot of local people would be very offended by it. And I'm sure there's other American servicemen too that would disagree with it because people have different experiences. It's just like we've been getting a lot of hate, most from Chinese people mostly, on our review of China Southern Airlines. And people are saying, well, I took it and I had a good experience. It's like, well, that might be true. Even I took it my flight to, and I documented that too. My flight to the U.S. on China Southern was pretty pleasant for the most part and went smoothly. But that doesn't mean that I didn't have a not so great experience that they could improve upon that we documented on the way back. But it's just amazing the way people say, "Well, that's not, that I
Well,
didn't
I
experience
mean,
that." Well, it doesn't mean
then,
this other person
yeah,
didn't.
and they haven't experienced what my fellow passenger experienced on their flight from US to Manila because they had worse experience than what I experienced. I experienced both ways from a round trip. I had I didn't have pleasant experiences with them, and some people who commented like that, they didn't have any bad experience about their flight with that airline. Is that they would say, "Oh, that's what you get from a cheap airfare." First of all, the fare that was paid for my flight was not cheap. That was very expensive actually. So, and regardless whether it's cheap or expensive, the service should still be great. This part of customer service. Anyways,
And I get so many hateful comments on it from Chinese people, and I kind of wonder, do they work for the government or something in China? But if you watch China Uncensored, that other channel that we collaborated with before, that's about China, they said China, the government has what's called a 50-cent army. And basically, the government of China, they have these employees that are probably freelancers. I don't know exactly how they do it. But the Chinese government pays 50 cents per post. Like if you post something positive about their government online, they pay 50 cents per post, the Chinese
really,
government, to write good things about China and their government. So I wonder if some of those people are making 50 cents to leave those comments on my
50
YouTube
cents,
channel.
50 cents, dollars.
50, 50 cents, 50, yeah,
What's the
half a
currency?
dollar,
Okay, okay,
half a US dollar.
got it. Great.
So good money if you just sit at home and make comments about how great China and their government is all day. You could depending how fast you type, you could probably make out well on that deal.
Right.
Maybe I should get a job. No, I'm just trying. Can I apply for a job being a Chinese troll for their government? The thing is, I think most governments have these. The Hillary Clinton, it's been proven she had people posting like doing fake Facebook posts pretending to be like they would comment on her official posts like all supportive and everything. They had fake people doing that. Russia does it, China does it. I'm sure every major country in the world does it, including most minor countries. I'm sure that they have paid people that are internet trolls. That's a thing these days, like professional internet trolls. I don't know where you go to apply for these jobs, but seems like it'd be easy money. I don't know how much they make. It depends who you're working for, I guess. But every country does that. Just like there's all this talk that Russia hacked the election in America, which there was no hacking. There's no actual hacking. Someone's email password was phished. John Podesta, who's not even a part of our government, by the way. John Podesta is not even part. I don't think he's a government employee. He worked for the Clinton campaign. Now he's maybe powerful within our government. There's no doubt about that. But I think he was just a democratic, worked for the Democratic Party, which a lot of people don't realize the Republican and Democratic parties, they're not actually government functions. Those are private organizations that are not part of our government. But John Podesta's emails were fit his wasn't even that wasn't even hacked. Supposedly his password was phished, and so there was no hacking. But they try and make it look like Russia interfered. It's like, what, you think that Russia's the only country in the world that tries to like get into people's emails and spy on them? The number one country to probably do that is the United States, and that's been proven. Especially under a few years ago, that it was proven that they had Edward Snowden. That's why he's in hiding. He leaked how the United States spies on everyone, including their allies. They even had the personal cell phone of Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany. They were tapped into that. So, I mean, it seems kind of hypocritical to act like Russia's the only country that does it. Every country tries to do hacking. Also, the number one country that hacks the United States, including as hacker politicians, is China. But you never hear anything about China. Like, you hear all these Hollywood people. They had a campaign with Morgan Freeman where he was saying that we're at war with Russia because they hacked, which none of that's true. But China actually has hacked. And people like Rob Reiner and Morgan Freeman, the reason they're not bringing up China, even though it's proven that they do it more than Russia, is because Hollywood wants business for their movies in China. They send their movies over to China, so they're not going to try and offend the Chinese government, which can ban Hollywood movies and does fairly frequently. But Hollywood tries to work with China, so they're not going to say anything to try and offend them because they want to make that money from China. So that's what the real deal is.
Do you want to read? I think Steve sent this comment. Have you read this yet?
My voice is getting a little dry. Go ahead.
Okay. Steve said the Navy was only branched to allow Filipinos to join the U.S. military. This was all before the American military left in the early 90s. Okay.
Yeah, the guy that said he was stationed at Subic Bay, it was, I think, he was there in the 80s, I think. He said it was quite a while ago. But that's interesting.
And that's because, yeah,
it's because
true.
China owns Hollywood indirectly.
Right.
Well, they definitely want it. They have to make that money
from
it. They
finance it. Yeah, they fund it.
You're not going to bite the hand that feeds you. That would just be stupid.
Right. And let's see. Let me see which else should I read. I have here from Dominic or say question for Imabel before you and Travis wrap up. What is your reaction about what's this? YouTubers clickbait and demonetizing famous YouTubers like you. Well, I think we already addressed that earlier, but just to maybe you joined us later. Well, my thoughts first of all, that's YouTube. They own YouTube. What can we do? It is not fair, I guess, but they have to do what they have to do. I'll just reiterate this. I understand YouTube is also doing what they have to do so they don't lose advertisers. But with what they're doing, it's also unfair to content creators who are doing content or making content that are not really harmful to the viewer, especially the children. They could have done it sooner, and they should not have waited for the backlash just to do something about those, channels. But, well, all I have is just to hope for the best.
And here we have a comment. Exactly, and hackers are difficult to trace. That is what I've been saying. Hacking our election is absurd. There are so many manual processes in the tallying of the vote. Yeah, no voting machines were hacked. That was officially reported. But what he says about hackers are difficult to trace, one of the things that WikiLeaks has revealed was the CIA had software that would make it look like attacks are coming from certain places when in fact the attack was coming from someplace altogether. So you could make an attack from, say, the Philippines, but make it look like it was coming from Russia. They had software that did that, and this software actually leaked out to other people. because one of the things they're doing, they had private contractors that they trust to run this stuff and develop it, the software and stuff. So yeah, I don't know if we want to go down that wormhole right now. We're trying to keep positive thoughts and happy thoughts.
But we really appreciate, guys, your comments, your questions, and
Let me get a little
your
bit more water.
insights. Yeah. While you do that,
Hold the
before we
fort
say
for a minute.
bye, yeah, I would like to acknowledge the early birds of this live stream, and they are Artie Policarpio, or Raven One, Andy De Virgo. Let me see. I already mentioned Terrence Brown, which is part of our Patreon family. Red Hot Chili Pepper. Thank you guys for joining us very early. And CEAA was also very early. I would want to say hi to all of you guys who left comments on this live stream. But if we don't get to mention your name, please don't feel bad. Rest assured that we really appreciate you a lot. And Travis is back.
I think we should wrap it up though. But you guys that have been supporting us, thank you so much. Maybe turn that up so we can hear where it is in the
Yeah,
thing
but
before
before we say bye to you, Jess Wales, one of our super chatters tonight. I haven't heard from you yet. How will I send you a message, because I don't see an option on your
I think you
channel.
got to do it from a desktop.
Okay, I'll try that then. Yeah. Really appreciate you a lot. And Travis is back. Oh, it's
Okay, I think we can wrap this up. So thank you guys.
Once again, thanks to you, Chris Ray, Jess Wales, our super chatters tonight, and our Patreon family, Steve Dornbos, Terrence Brown, and every one of you guys in our Patreon family. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Till next live stream.